Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to be looking at graphing inequalities. Before we get started, I want to stress that graphing inequalities is a lot like graphing equations, okay? There's a few more steps after you get the bulk of it done, but a lot of it is just like graphing equations, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to manipulate algebraically your inequality to be in slope-intercept form, right? Same first step as if you were graphing a line, an equation, okay? So once you have it in slope-intercept form, you're going to identify the slope and you're going to identify the y-intercept, okay? From there, you go and plot the y-intercept, and then you can use the slope to plot another point, and then you will know those 2 points are going to be on your line. Now, here's where the difference comes in. An inequality graph is either going to be a dotted or a solid line, okay? Now, the way you know what to do is you look at your inequality sign. And when I say inequality sign, I am talking about these. Okay? So when we are talking about if it's going to be a dotted or a solid line, you're going to be paying attention to whether or not there is a line underneath your inequality. Okay? Whether or not it is greater than or less than, or greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. If there is not a line underneath, if it is not equal to, then you have a dotted line. Okay? No line under your inequality means you have a dotted line. When you have a line underneath, you will have a solid line. So when you graph, when you plot these 2 points, and then you have your points, if it looks like this, it's gonna, when you draw your graph, you're just gonna make a dotted line. Okay? Now, if it looks like the second choice, once you plot your 2 points, you'll do it just like an equation. All right? Then you have to determine, are you going to shade above or below your line that you created? Okay? If, when your inequality is in slope-intercept form, you can follow these rules. Okay? If it is y is less than or equal to, you will shade below the line. Okay? That's if it's y is less than. If it's y is greater than or equal to, you'll shade above. Okay? Again, this only works if it is in slope-intercept form. Now, if we want to graph the inequality, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to identify your slope and identify your y-intercept. So again, slope is the coefficient. Well, first of all, our inequality is already in slope-intercept form, right? So our slope is the coefficient of x. So in this case, there is a negative sign. So it's a negative 1/4. Okay? My y-intercept is the constant at the end with the sign, so it's a positive 1. Okay? Now, looking at our inequality sign, there is not a line underneath it, which means we will have a dotted or dashed line, however you want to call it. Okay? And the way it opens towards the y tells us if we're going to shade above or below. This tells us y is greater than our line. Okay, we're shading what y is. So y is greater than our equation, right? So we're going to shade above it. Okay? So now all we have to do is we can start at our y-intercept, which is 1. Then we go down 1 over 4. And we'll do that again. And we may as well go back 4 also. So we'll go up 1, back 4. And there is your equation. It was supposed to be a dotted line. And I drew it to be solid. So, alright, so you'll just draw a dashed line or a dotted line instead of a solid, and we're going to shade above. Okay? Now, I don't expect your graph to be colored in continuously, okay? But I expect you to draw a decent graph if you have to, okay? And show that you're shading above or below. Now, when you have an inequality like this, if it is a dotted line, okay, and they ask you if a point on that dotted line is a part of your solution, the answer is no, because y is greater than that. It does not include it. If it's a solid line, y is greater than or equal to, then it includes your equation, your line, okay? Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Our first step is going to be, we have to get it in the correct form, right? We have to have y equals mx plus b. So I just need to add 2x to both sides of my inequality, and I will get y is less than or equal to 2x plus 4. From there, I can identify my slope is 2 and my y-intercept is 4. I am going to have, there's a line under, so I'm going to have a solid line, and it says y is less than. It's pointing at the y, so y is smaller, so I'm going to shade below. Okay? So I'm going to put my y-intercept on 4. And then I'm going to go up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. And the more points you put on your graph, the more accurate you can be. Right? So if I go down 2, back 1. Right? And it's a solid line. And I will shade below it. Okay? That's it for today, guys. Y'all have a great day.